Hello, hello, everyone. Patriot 5 and Patriot 6 here on finale Friday night to have some news. I mean, guys, what is news anymore? I'm gonna say a little prayer here, then I'm gonna say the pledge, then I'm gonna do the music, and then we're gonna get into the kids, and then we're gonna discuss what we're gonna discuss. Don't know how it's gonna go, but then again, I never do. But I want to take a moment. I already said hi to everyone over here that I've seen it's on so far, and we've only got 6 people on. Our group is sinking like the Titanic. But you know what? It doesn't matter. All that matters is those that's here. We try to do the best we can do. We're a family. We're a group, and we're going to keep this thing going. Dear Lord, as we come to you tonight, please look after all of us, each and every one of us, as we not only have a weekend coming up that's everyone needs to unwind, relax, build their vibrations, and get things going. But Lord, we're just days away from Thanksgiving, and I hope that everyone can enjoy Thanksgiving. And even though the prices are up, maybe everyone can afford a decent meal. And Lord, we look forward to your self-picked person to put an end to all the suffering from all the people, to do the things that need to be done to get all the people in homes before the really cold weather turns in. We've messed around, Lord, with the finish line long enough. It's time that you get with your man and the people, and we put an end to this. And I come to you and pray to you through our Savior, your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen and amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. No, you
If tomorrow all things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again. Just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea. From Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt of this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country. And I'm proud to be an American. At least I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next
God bless the USA. Proud to be an American. Well, look at this. We're up to 29 people. Let me see who we got here. We Paula. I'm trying to get the ones that I haven't talked to. Gary. That's about it. There ain't a whole lot of people on here. Everybody's the same. But anyway, it doesn't matter, guys. You know, when we talk about the kids, I had someone contact me the other day. I don't know who it was. They got my email address and they sent me an email and they said, you know, your group is small. And gee, yes, it is. And they said, but the people who come there, they love each other so much. And yeah, and they said, and you do a segment on the kids. And he says, you're the only group that we've ever seen talk to the kids. And it kind of made me feel good. But then again, we also know that maybe Jimmy might be on here, but truthfully, Ella used to come on, but most of the kids, they don't even know we're talking about them. But I made a commitment. I made a commitment when I started the show live. When I used to do the regular shows, when I recorded them, I didn't so much worry about the kids, but we had such a great group come in when I started doing live. And when I first started doing them, I was doing them sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening, kind of, mixing and matching, what was best for the people. And then I decided to go full-time nights, but every now and then I do one in the daytime because, of this. Now, we do have a guest tonight. He's supposed to try to make it on. Robert from England. He was talking to Ron today. And Robert, I'm sorry. I just seen that you had sent me a message saying, hi, Ralph. So Robert, hi back to you. If you're not on tonight, you'll at least get to see this, that I acknowledged you. I'm not ignoring you. It's just that I've had a couple of crazy last few days. But Robert told Ron he was going to stay up late and come on the show tonight. I know England's a little bit of, or Great Britain, whatever you want to call it, is a little bit ahead of time. And that. But anyway, let's go to the kids and Super Jimmy and that. And he keeps posting and he keeps doing the things he's going to do and wearing his little pajamas and that, and that, every time you read one of Jimmy's posts, you think, wow, this kid's got to be like 20, 23, 25 years old. And then you see a picture of him in his little, pajamas that are, figurines and that, and it's just kind of cute. And that Patriot 11, you're getting up there in age. You got to be the age of your number now. I believe you are 11 or 12 now, if I'm remembering right. Might be a little older. You haven't been on for a long time, but I know Grandma and Grandpa will set me straight one of these days and tell me some more about you and that, and we'll move on. And so anyway, I was reading one of the comments, guys. I'm sorry. Patriot Karate Kid and Patriot White Earp, another two little boys that I've talked to on the phone. And I can remember the last time I talked to them on the phone. I mean, they were both just so excited to talk to me. And I'm thinking, why? I'm nothing special. But to them boys that day I was, and then Patriot Princess, our queen, and Patriot Hunter. I kind of miss Jana. Jana has not been posting because, maybe they're not playing sports right now. Maybe they're just being kids. And, and now when I say maybe they're just being kids, back in my day, just being kids was getting out and playing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about kids because Julia, the girl that I talked to you a lot about, has a best friend, Masha. Masha has two little kids. I think their ages are 10 and 12. Somewhere in that vicinity. And a lot of times they can't go out and play. They don't care about the cell phones. They don't care over there in that country about the tablets or the TV or the computers. They want to go out and be kids. And I'm thinking, that's where we got to bring our country again. That's where we have to make America great again. But then you have Boogs and Boogaloo and Boogaroo and Boogie, and the littlest one just got his first haircut the other day. Cute as cute could be. Patriot Little Leona and Patriot Leilon. Little Leona, I haven't got nothing from you lately, so get great grandpa to send me something. I need a picture here. Sure. Shine Dixie 7125. I can't hardly see, guys. It is really, really rough to read anything. So anyway, then the rest of the kids we finished with my grandkids, Patriots super gymnast who she's quite a kid. And at 12, as Ron says, growing up too fast, and she is. But at 12 years old, as soon as I get there, she comes to me. If I go over to their house or wherever we're at, what?
She's only 11. Yeah.
Excuse me, she's only 11 years old. She'll be 12 March 10th. But anyway, she'll come and she'll give me a hug and usually tell me she loves me. She never lets me leave without giving me a hug. And it means a lot to me. And then the little monkey, she wouldn't give me a hug the other days. So I looked at Ella and I said, well, Ella will. And Ella gives me a hug. And the little monkey come running like crazy. Had to give Grandpa a hug. And told Ella, move. And no. And she said, no, you had a chance. He's my papa. He's your grandpa. So anyway, then small Hank, kids will be kids. And he is, I mean, you give him a cell phone, a tablet, or a TV, and you never know the kid's there. I mean, I'd love to see him go outside and play. Now, today wasn't a day to go outside and play, but it started mist and rain last night about 10 o'clock, and nasty day today. But, hey, we're getting close to winter. This time last year we was in bad weather, and it could have been a few degrees colder, and it would have been ice, and then we'd have been in a lot of trouble. Patriot little Kira, she goes to the babysitter. They find out the 9th of December if they're going to let her go to preschool. She'll be 3 years old on the 13th of December, and the new semester doesn't start until after January. And the rules in the Herscher School District is you have to be at least 3 years old. And that being said, she will be with her mother teaching and would be right there with her. I think to let her go. And it's a good thing because the babysitter, my daughter-in-law, has to drive a long, long way. It's going to save her probably gas, stuff on cars, and paying a babysitter about $600. And that, I think it's too young for her to go to preschool, but I never went to preschool. I never went to kindergarten.
Too young to go to school.
And look at me. I turned out just amazing. I mean, look at me. If you don't believe I turned out amazing, ask me, because I'll tell you I did. But, and then, then I saved a little Liam, PATRIOTS5 for the last of the kids because, he was out here at Rounds last week helping with a tree. And, he's had a pretty good year. He made the All-Stars in baseball, and he won a Super Bowl in football. And, to win the Super Bowl in football, it's one thing if you're on the team. You get the, one of their coaches literally went out and bought Super Bowl championship rings. These weren't just little rings. These things are rings that these kids won't wear for a while because their fingers are too small to hold the heaviness. And I've got a White Sox World Series ring, pretty much similar. And if I'm going to look the White Sox ring up, and when I find it, I'm gonna wear it one night on the show, and I'll show you the size of it. I mean, this ring is beautiful. This man went out and bought 31 rings on his dime. He wasn't even the head coach, but he wanted to give the kids something special. He said, I knew they were going to win. If they don't win, he's got 31 Super Bowl championship. Maybe he could have given them, sold them to the other team for half price, but he was confident, and they won. And I mean, they got the medallion for winning a Super Bowl, and it's been a good year for him. But me and him got discussing cutting down Uncle Ron's tree last Saturday. He says, great baseball season, great football season. We only went fishing twice. And one of them times was only for a half an hour, and the other time was only for an hour because he had to get to practice. And last summer, me and him went fishing probably 25 to 30 times, and we had a blast. But, kids grow up, and we have to let them grow. Things will change, and I was gonna give you a little riddle rhyme there, but I better not say it because it's a little naughty. It's one my dad used to say. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the kids. And we have a great group. A lot of them I'm in contact with a lot, since 5 of them are my grandkids. And then, Jana's always sending pictures. John's always sending pictures. Now that little Leona, his grandma, and that is back on Facebook, I'll be getting pictures of her. Leona, Mike sends me pictures, and I haven't heard much from, I haven't heard anything from Patriot 11 or from Karate Kid and the other one, but Michelle Gillespie's their mom, and she's one heck of a woman. She is a woman that definitely 100% her family comes first. So that concludes the kids' version of the show tonight. Remember, kids, this show is not meant for you, but you can watch it under this discretion of your parents, your grandparents, or legal guardians, someone that's in charge of you that gives you permission. So, with that being said, where are we now? That is a very good question. Where are we now?
I don't know. I'm here sitting in my chair.
I'm sitting in my chair doing the thing. And, I'm saying this because Ron was starting to be a smart ass over here. He said, I don't know, I'm sitting in my chair. I understand that part. Where are we in the patriotism movement? And you heard me saying a prayer tonight because, guys, we need to get this done. I listened to Roseanne today, and Roseanne's going to be putting together a bigger video. But it's funny because Roseanne has never been a woman that, a man really wants to say, boy, she's a hottie. I want to look at her. When Roseanne hit greatness, she did it because of her comedy, her dry wit, her ability to make people laugh. And, now she does these videos on all of these channels and that.
Ew.
She never wears makeup. I don't even know if she combs her hair. And I'm not cutting her down because Roseanne is trying to show us with even all of her things that she's went through, all the success she's experienced. First and foremost, she wants to make America great again. She wants to make America great again. She's a patriot. She's not one of these that's going to say, well, if the hat is elected president, I'm moving until he's not no more. Well, here's my thing. You move out, don't allow him back in. You want to give up on because I'm telling you, these people who do this, they're so stupid. They're so ignorant. They're imbeciles when it comes to saying something like this. Because you go to another country and you start talking and bad-mouthing your leader in other countries, and I'm going to tell you, that other country is going to make Gitmo look like it's a clubhouse, a great place. They don't piss around in these other countries. And yes, I've used a couple of things that maybe I shouldn't have said. But guys, I get excited this because I'm sick and tired of listening to these same people. We're leaving, and then they never damn leave. I want this stuff to happen. So I got the money, and I'll say, okay, give me your address. I'll be there. I'll pick you up, and I'll personally put your ugly ass on a jet plane. As the song said, they're leaving on a jet plane, and we don't care if they ever come back again. This is something that just bites my rear end to all ends. I get so aggravated. Who cares? Someone said the other day, if this guy stays in as president, I'm leaving. I didn't even know who the person was. When he posted this on Facebook, there was like 500 comments. 498 of them was, who are you? Do you think we give a rat's patoon if you leave? I don't. Leave, please. That one girl she's a girl that likes girls. I can't think of her name. She was with Ann Hesh for a long time, which Ann Hesh really used this girl, this woman, to get well known. And now all of a sudden she's a pretty good actress. And this woman, she just can't get out of the country quick enough, but she never leaves. The great singer Cher, oh, I'm leaving, but you don't leave. And Cher is the one that bothers me because when you're a kid, you see this one person that you literally just, your first love, you just fall in love with him, right? Do you remember doing that, Bill Woods? Jeffrey? Gary? Do you remember that one woman that you seen either on TV or on set? Cher was mine. I was a young kid. I didn't hear what you said. Ron's one love was Mama Cassie says, who I'm going to look forward to hearing her sing again. But anyway, what I'm saying, and I got it again, even though I don't care for the woman, even I can't wait to see Sonny come back and stick it, laugh at them. But anyway, their very first album was The Sunny Side of Cher. And it was just a picture of her with her long hair, and they were like hippie style. But man, she was so beautiful. And that was my very first album I ever got. That if the kids are watching, what's an album? They had, you could listen to music like that. But that's when the music was great. And The Sunny Side of Cher, I Got You, Babe, and all.
I'd like to know what a pocket radio was.
Yeah, a pocket radio, things like that. WLS 890 out of Chicago, the greatest radio station, AM station, played all the great music. But this, and that was my first one, and we lost it when my mom's house burnt down. So as much as I despise this lady for what she does to the country, I still went out and I found this because it just has such a meaning to me that now I can share it because I actually do have a record player that will play the albums and the records. So I'm going to show my grandkids, take it over to their house or show my two at my house, the kind of music that we grew up to.
You can use that on the 10 Days of Darkness.
As Ron said, you can use that on the 10 Days of Darkness and listen to that one album over and over and over. But anyway, I'm just tired of these people promising they're going to leave. But Roseanne was saying, and she had a very, very short video, but she promised to come back. She said the one thing, the things that she said in the video, guys, it really stuck out to me. She says, for all that are following the Patriot movement, for all that are thinking about, I'm done, it's toast, whatever, don't give up just because you aren't seeing it. And we hear this from all these other people. I'm sick and tired of hearing it from that guy from, I don't know. Who's the bald-headed man, Ron? Not other than me. Charlie Ward. Oh, my God, this man. When he speaks anymore, I swear I get a migraine. When other ones speak and,
well, you don't care how long it takes.
You got to quit talking like this. You can't say things like this. We're trying to make America great again, but the one thing I've always remembered in America, even when it's bad like we went through, we've always had freedom of speech. So if we want to call somebody out that we know that they're trying to stick one up our hind end, we have the right to. But this guy, I'm under an NDA. I'm under an NDA. I can't talk, but then he won't go. It's like that migraine headache. And you think it's just about gone, and boom, there it is again. Or that hemorrhoid that you just can't get rid of. Boom. And they're both of them just pains in your rear ends. And I don't care if he wants to do it. But I'm sick and tired of him cutting people down to turn around and tell people, you don't have the right to talk like that. Yes, we do. You're not a United States citizen, sir. You don't have the right. In the United States, we have freedom of speech. We've maintained that. They've tried to take it away, and if it wasn't for the hat, they probably would have done it. So, I also listened to a short video, a little bit of it from Big Daddy, I think it was. And in the video, Big Daddy was talking about the $2,000. And he was saying how this money is coming from the fund. I think it was the Rodriguez fund, the 150 and then 24 zeros behind it. But see, what he was trying to explain to people, that this is just not for the United States of America. And we don't know if it's just 2,000. If the hat has his way, it's going to be more. But they want us to have it, he said, before Thanksgiving. If not, definitely in time to make everybody's Christmas a lot better. So that being said, we're in a situation where, okay, let's get this done. But we have so many things to talk about. And there are things that, guys, we just talked and talked and talked. But still, you're here. Bill's here. Tony's here. Ian Bell 4527. Ken Cicero, so I can't pronounce it, 7924. I'm just going to call you 7924. Gary MB, MHB. Guys, we come here for a reason, because as the song said, we are family and we want to know. So let's see what we can know. Now, I'm a person who, I speak my mind. If someone does something, I don't like it, I say it. And there's a person on the big call whose name is Sue. And I'm not real fond of Sue for selling her programs. They have the right to do it. It's their show. It's their program. But the show is called Bruce and the Big Call, from the Big Call universe. Well, Sue will go on, and sometimes she'll talk for 50 minutes to an hour. Then we have Babbling Bob come on, who they should work with Bob and just record a segment and let it play. Something that he could get a little excited, but Bob talks like this, and he talks about his products. He talks about his sales. He talks about his specials. He talks about all the people giving great reviews. And that's how he talks. How Mary Ann listens to this. And Bob seems like he's an amazing man, and he probably is. But again, I don't believe in selling products on a show like this. Don't make money on your show. Then Bruce gets to come on and give his 8 or 9, 10 minutes. Well, last night, as you know my feelings, I just explained them to you. I have nothing personally against Sue. I don't like the way she carries on. But Bruce wasn't there last night. So last night's call was Sue and a big call. And this is what Sue had to say. Today, on behalf of Bruce, November 20th, 2025, said today was an interesting day. Bruce said Sue spoke at 5 p.m. with him with one piece of intel. At 5 p.m. last night, Sue had one piece of intel to share on the show last night with Bruce. 3 different high-level sources. One was a bondmaster, have told them we will receive our notifications on Monday/Tuesday. Then we were told that the ISO 222 is to roll out on Sunday, which they were not told that, because we've been told that for the last 2 weeks that it would roll out this Sunday. And makes possible international transfers. Now, here's something, this ISO 222. And Janet, you want to send some money to somebody in another country. You go to your bank and you want to do a wire transfer. And depending on the amount of that you want to transfer, say you want to transfer $10,000. Because, we can always dream the impossible dream, right? Or let's say I do it. Because I can tell you I don't have 10,000. Janet might. But I want to send $10,000 to, say, Julia in the Ukraine. That transaction could take up to 10 days to complete. Why? Because they take that money and they're using it. They're lending in a quick 3 and 4 day loans here and there. They're making money to send your money. Corruptness of the banking system. But with the ISO 222, transfers that would take 10 days will now take about 10 seconds. Now, according to Sue, ISO 222 will become official on Sunday. It will be announced. But on Monday, the banks will open back up. And she said all banks who still want to keep sending the way they're sending, still wants to do what they're doing, will be dealt with. And she didn't come right out and say it, but it's not a dealing with that these bankers want to have happen. So to my knowledge, for what Sue was saying, is they will be dealt with in a way that they will be replaced. I also think there will be charges brought against them, and they might end up in a place named Mo. I don't know. But see, it concerns me because the bank I bank at is a small bank. I've been there for 40 some years. It's a convenience for me. But if they're not under it, are they going to be taking these people out and bringing the new people in to take over right away? Because you have to keep the banks open long enough to give the people access to get what they have in there out. Plus, as me and Ron were discussing, people who's getting their Social Security, you still have one more Wednesday of Social Security this month. So what does that do? If your bank closes, how are you, and there's questions, but the point I'm trying to make is Bruce and the big call done by Sue last night. I thought she did a tremendous job. Sue went on to say a lot of things like, ISO 222 will be announced on Sunday, that we're looking at Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday at the latest to get the 800 numbers. Will we be able to go to the redemption centers on Thanksgiving? No. We can go on Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and really get this thing rolling. But think about it. Think about it. This could be a smart move. What happens on Black Friday? Thousands and thousands. It's the most heaviest shopping day of the year. People's going to be out shopping. I'll give you an illustration of shopping on Black Friday. My daughter, 4 of my nieces, 5 or 6 other women, there's like 10 or 11 of them, they rent a bus. They put their alcohol on the bus. They put their drinks on the bus. The bus driver plays the music they want to hear. And this bus driver, where do you want to go? We want to go to Target. Well, someone might want to go to Target, and someone else might want to go down to another store just down in that shopping area. So he'll take the ones to Target, the other ones, then he parks the bus. They can be in there an hour, 2 hours. He sits there and waits. Now, where do you want to go? Well, let's go to Walmart. That takes them to Walmart and they shop. Any store they want to go to at lunchtime, they go to someplace really nice. All of them go together. By then, they're not feeling a lot of pain because they've had a few fruit pops and that. And they do this, and they start at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And if they get home by 8:30 at night, it's an early night for them. But they do this, and I'm telling you this story not because I wanted to share the story about what my drunken daughter and nieces and friends do, but because it's the most shopped day of the year. So just think, you get an 800 number, Janet or Gary, you too, Larry Smith. We get the 800 number, and we go to a redemption center. Everybody's out and about. They ain't paying attention. They see someone going into a bank. They just think they're going into a bank, a redemption center. It's going to be work out perfect. Saturday, what does a lot of people do on Saturday? In our area, a lot of people go to the places and cut their own Christmas tree down. They go Christmas tree Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, football. See, it could be a great thing. Is it going to happen? I hope so. I really do. Because quite frankly, Larry and Janet and all of you, everyone over here, quite frankly, aren't you sick and tired of being sick and tired? But the reason I wanted to talk about Bruce in the big call last night, because online they're calling it Sue in the big call. And when I was talking to Marianne last night, I was not impressed what was going on. But then last night I was waiting for Ron to give me a call, let me know everything was okay down at the house, and he was ready to go to bed. We always talk. It's funny, I sit down here for 4 hours at night. Sometimes we go an hour and a half without talking. I go home, and 12:30, want to go home, 1:30, he'll call me. We'll talk for a half an hour. But anyway, I listened to Sue last night just before Ron called. And I tell you what, listening to her, and I felt a love in her voice for what's happening. Not the Sue that worries about her product, but while she did the information, remember, Sue said at 5 o'clock last night, she talked to Bruce and they had one subject to talk about. But yet, all of a sudden, before the show starts, she's now got 5 or 6, 7. And I just want to give a compliment. I thought Sue did a remarkable, a tremendous job. So I just wanted to share that. The main thing is the ISO. Another thing that's very important is it sounds like Iraq is going to get things done. Now, this is coming from Big Daddy that Iraq is going to get things done, and this is coming from Roseanne. So I got a few other things here I want to read. Special beds technology. The special beds they say shouldn't exist is here. A doctor connects the patient. The bed wakes up, and the impossible starts happening. This machine scans every cell, organ, tissue instantly. It does not guess. It knows what's wrong. First half wipes out bacteria, viruses, parasites, autoimmune cells, even cancer cells gone. Second half, quantum healing on frequencies realign, electrons recharge. The body remembers how to heal itself. No drugs, no scalpels, no side effects, just pure energy, intelligence, and results you can't deny. The thing I like what is said there. The thing I like what is said there is how it remembers, how it takes care of everything. It wasn't supposed to be, but certain presidents made sure it was, while other certain presidents, I scrolled down a little bit from what I was just reading on Telegram. And I really wish I wouldn't, because it's what I'm looking at right here, guys. It's absolutely sickening. It's people that we elected to do what we elect them to do as the top person in the United States. And there's a man that they're all standing next to at a certain island. And there's pictures of each and every one of them hugging, kissing, and doing many, many things to little ones.
You don't need to go in there.
That being said, it's sickening. These people do not deserve anything. They deserve, I can't say what they deserve, because if I could, I'd say I'd like to be the one that did it. And I do not believe in the death penalty until I seen how terribly these people were. This is something from TNT Tony. November 21st, 2025, TNT Tony says they want the RV done by Thanksgiving and want the economy to grow. The banks have been told they have to work tomorrow. Nothing about Sunday yet. The IMF and the UN said they expect the internet folks to be done by Tuesday. Tony laughs. Federal Reserve say they were told the same thing. Everybody is upset and frustrated. Tony is tired of it all. Tony seems to be taking for granted that the RV will be happening tomorrow. He got a call during the broadcast and said things have been ramped up. A lot is happening in Iraq. Lots of articles about the election and how long it will take to be implemented. Malachi owns most of the newspapers and is saying Soudani will be out. Tony doesn't think this is true. Iraq has decisions to make. Its new government. Venezuelan Maduro is in the Chinese embassy where he is being protected, according to Tony, and is negotiating. They are waiting to see if Indonesia will take him. A no-flight zone has been declared over the entire country as of yesterday, while decisions are being made. If the compromise is made, the boulevard should be in or come in days after. They have been negotiating with him all day today. XIZ, I think it is, can stay in office for 15 or 16 months, so there is orderly transition in China. He no longer controls their military. They are having demonstrations in the streets. His plans was to attack and take back Taiwan, where chips are made to disrupt the world economy. The world would then be forced to go back to China. Their economy is crashing. And then great articles yesterday in Iraq news. Biggest thing is ISO 222 standard being adopted November 22nd. They are talking about Basel III requirements that they have not met. Tony is waiting right now for the UN and IMF. And more or less, there's conflicting reports, which we always have, guys. Bruce is saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tony says it could be as early as tomorrow. And we're going to get this. We're going to get this very long. But something I was reading that. Something I wanted to talk about is the war in them two countries. The other night I was on my email right after our show. I was on our email and I seen this article. The two countries, but wanting to put an end to this, but it was the hat and put in negotiating a settlement that they will be taking to President Z. In this settlement, they're saying that there's an area, I think it's called Dumbass or DOM something. I don't know. I don't want to call it dumbass, but there's an area that I guess is very, very rich and needs to be mined because there's, once again, money, money, money. Russia supposedly is asking through the hat that they will end everything. They will cut their forces towards, their military forces towards Ukraine in half. And there will be no long-term missiles aimed at their country. That would be done. If they can rent this area, because right now the Ukraine is so poor that they can't afford to really do this. And this could be something, and I reading more, you read into it that there's reports that this could be the solution. Then there's reports that Mr. Z doesn't like it. But since he's in a lot of trouble, he might be forced. Okay, and it keeps going on like that. So I copied this. Well, actually what I did is when I wrote Julia, because I try to keep her abreast of what I hear. And when I wrote her that night, I used voice activation and I just read these parts. And I didn't know how to do it because, see, she loves her country. She found out a while back that some of the lead officials are kind of like the lead officials in our country. And she was very hurt that they would do the things that they did to us too. So her eyes are open. And when she wrote me back yesterday, she says, "Thank you for doing that for me." And she says, if we have to give up a little so this war can end, so these soldiers can come home and sit at the table and sleep in their own beds, and kids can play in the streets, and we can go back to our incomes going up like they should, and all of this can happen. Who cares? And she told me, she says, "I talked and I read what you said to me, what you sent to me." She told me she talked to about 20 different people, and every one of them had the same opinion as her. These people want this war over so bad, but it doesn't benefit. So I said to her in another thing in that letter, I said, if this is no good, why can't the two countries come together in that area, work it together, and split everything? That way, your country gets a great amount, their country gets a great amount, and it shows a workmanship. She loved that idea. So, that being said, I was watching a video last night. Actually, Ron sent me a video with our press secretary, the little cute blonde. Having a hard time remember her name right now. Remember it, Ron?
No.
What the heck was it? Let me see. You guys remember our press secretary's name? Levitt. Carolyn Levitt, isn't it?
Something like that.
I believe that's it. Yes. Carolyn Levitt said she was talking, and naturally when she's talking, you have these fake reporters, fake news out there, and they can't wait until she finishes talking. They have to butt in. Wow, 111 on here. Thank you. Thank you. Now it's 105. I shouldn't look up there. But anyway, she's trying to explain, and this one guy, and Gary, Lady Anita, see who else I can see here. Janet, Rusky 6166. You guys, have you ever got aggravated when you're trying to explain something and you have to get these smart alecks that they think they know everything. Well, this reporter's out there, and he looks at Carolyn Levitt, and he says, so are you going to tell us about what's going on with the peace treaties? And she said, if you allow me to talk, that's what I'm here for. Well, it's reported, and they reported exactly what I just told you that I sent to Julia. And before she could respond, this cocky looking lady, I have never hit a woman in my life, but this woman with her cockiness and thinking she's got Carolyn Levitt, if we would work together, them people and Carolyn and the people's doing it, it would work a lot smoother. But this lady, she's one that you just want to go out, pop her one right in the nose. And she comes and she says, so are you saying you're not going to tell us what's going on? And she says, once again, if you will sit there and hold your questions until I say I'm ready to answer questions, I will take care of everything. She says, as you know, Carolyn Levitt says, as you know, the Hat has made a promise to end this war. He's in several others, and he's made a promise. So he has a secretary in contact with President Z. And the press secretary, the secretary came back to the Hat today and said, things are looking good. And the cocky reporter, the man, says, but you're not addressing the issue. She says, you won't let me. She says, the issue is, you guys seen this one story. And if it would have been a positive story about the Hat and things, you would have been quieter than a certain person in church. And you know the saying. But since it was a negative about him, you guys just see one article and you're running. And she went on to explain the truth, that article was not true, that the Crane is not going to be giving things up, that they're working together in kind of a way, like I said, why can't they come together? Instead of shooting each other for years and years, why can't they shake hands? Be friends. These soldiers don't want to go out and do any harm to these other soldiers. These two countries, they don't hate each other like people want to make believe. But it's just the reporters, they stir up so much garbage. It's sickening. But she handled it very well. Anybody who would like to listen to that, we have it right here. And if you send either me or Ron a message on Messenger, I don't know if I can send it any place but Messenger, but I can sure give it a try. But it's worth a listen. Okay, Bruce did this. Dagier Q11, the crisis was never accidental. Every financial collapse you see, inflation, currency, instability, the destruction of small businesses, is engineered by centralized apparatus over a century. The goal, mass depression, debt, enslavement, and controlled poverty. Behind closed doors, documents point to a new system, the quantum financial system, QFS. No middle banks, no corruption, no hidden fees, transactions like to biometric identity and clean energy. Why crisis now? Because the old structure is collapsing and the new one is quietly switching on. Officially, no one will confirm it, but that's what it is. Okay. I've talked to you a lot about ISO 222, but I did have this I wanted to read. It says the truth about November 22nd, 2025, ISO 222 begins, and the fiat system reaches its end. November 22nd, 25, the global financial system crosses thresholds, cannot return from this. The date when ISO 222, the world's new financial messaging standard, completes its migration across all major banking rails. This isn't speculation. This isn't theory. This is published, locked in global transition date. But what most people fail to understand is what ISO 222 truly means for the legacy of financial system. It does not strengthen it. It does not save it. It does not provide stability. ISO 222 exposes it, and that exposure is fatal. What is ISO 222 and what actually does? ISO 222 is not a currency. It's not a blockchain. It's not a digital asset. ISO 222 is a messaging standard, a universal language that dictates how banks communicate payments information. On 11/22/25, the following system finalizes their transition: SWIFT, Federal Reserve Payment Systems, the European Central Banks, Bank of England, BRICS, settlement networks, IMF rails, all cross-border high-value payment systems. For the first time in history, every major financial institution will speak the same transitional language. This has two immediate consequences: real-time transparency. Every payment instruction, every field, every metadata tag is standardized. No place to hide. Technical excuses disappear. Legacy formatting disappear. OPAQUE message structures disappear. The entire monetary system becomes visible, and visibility in the fiat system greatest weakness. Tokenization doesn't save fiat. It exposes the illusion. Many people think the solution for banks is tokenized deposits, but tokenized deposits are simply the same fiat IOU digitized. They remain 100% debt backed, 0% gold backed. Liabilities of the issuing bank dependent on the collapsing fiat system, non-compliant with any hard asset requirements. Digitalizing a broken foundation does not repair the foundation. ISO 222 makes it even more obvious that fiat is unbacked, over-leveraged, hyper-fractionalized, dependent on endless debt creation. This is why old systems cannot cross into the new one. ISO 222 makes fractional reserve impossible to hide. Once standardized metadata exposes, I have no idea what this word, REHYPOTHECATION, synthetic collateral, multi-layered leverage, off-balance sheet liquidity, swapping, internal settlement gaps, derivate DERIVATE mismatches. The entire FACADE collapses. Under MT 103/202, legacy rails banks could hide under ISO 222. They cannot. Every missing dollar becomes visible. Every liability becomes trackable. Every liquidity shortfall becomes undeniable. It is the equivalent of turning all the lights on in a dark warehouse. The fiat system is caught completely naked. Why this matters is the transition to the quantum financial system, QFS. From a statistic standpoint, ISO 222 is the final step needed before major sovereign systems shift into an asset-backed settlement. Within the quantum framework, 209 BRIC nations have already adopted 100 gold-backed rails. XRP, in its role as digital assets collateral, forms the QGLR backbone. Starlink transmits 3D data flows into 5D quantum verification. Gatekeeper AI evaluates intent, purity, and legitimacy of all transition. RLUSD, in parentheses, a capital G, become the only Basel IV/compliant asset-backed settlement instrument for banks and credit unions. ISO 20022 is not the QFS, but it enables the QFS to read every legacy transition with perfect clarity. This is why it had to happen before anything else. What happens next? The fiat system runs out of time once the cutover is complete on 11/22/25. The debt bait monetary system has nowhere to hide. Every insolvency becomes transparent. Every derivative mismatch becomes obvious. Fractional reserve system can no longer mask liquidity holes. That's all I got, guys. I'm surprised I made it through that. And at 1 minute, 1 hour and 2 minutes, we're going to say good night. Have a great weekend. Let's hope and pray Tony's right, our Sue's right. And by the time we do a meeting Tuesday night, we're all very happy. Everyone have a great weekend. We love yous all. God bless yous, and we'll talk to you later.